Last week, it was confirmed by all the reliable journalists at Liverpool and Bayer Leverkusen have agreed an astonishing $116 million deal, add-ons included, for one of football's biggest talents, Florian Wirtz. And yes, I know, I couldn't believe it either. And yes, I am aware that this is our third video on Liverpool after starting these kind of videos, but forgive me, it's not every day Liverpool spends this kind of money on a player, so let's talk about it. I mean, on the face of it, Liverpool spending £100 million for a player is almost ridiculous, and it feels like an alternative reality. I mean, Manchester City have spent £35 million, including add-ons for Ryan Cherki, £46 million for Tijani Reinders, and £37 million for Ryan Aït-Nouri. Potentially only £2 million more than Liverpool could pay for Wirtz if all the add-ons for all deals are met. But I said it was almost ridiculous, and when you look into it, it's not very ridiculous at all. Going off reports, the deal is 100 upfront with 16 in add-ons, which includes him winning the Ballon d'Or, amongst Liverpool winning the Premier League and the Champions League. So it doesn't need in-depth thinking to work out that if Liverpool end up paying the full amount, then the deal is a success. Looking at wages, there were crazy reports that Liverpool were going to pay the German £350,000, but that wasn't true either. What is true is the Calendar Sport recently hit 100 subscribers and we're hoping to reach 500 by the start of the new season. So if you enjoy this video and our podcast, please consider pressing that subscribe button. Anyway, reliable reports have now said it's around 200 grand a week, potentially going up to 250 if again player and team achievements are met. Does all of that mean there isn't risk? Well, no, 100 million is a lot of money for a guaranteed fee. I'm not entirely sure if it's going to be paid in installments, but it is still a huge fee for any player really. But other than Darwin Núñez, who has been well documented to not be a player picked from the recruitment team, well, Liverpool have spent money, Virgil van Dijk and Alisson Becker, it was because the club was so confident they would come in and completely transform the side. And Wirtz is one of those players. Because of the money, you can't really ignore the Núñez deal, but he never really fit the mold of the other two, and Wirtz included. Núñez wasn't one of the best players in the world in his position. He was and is still the least developed of the three. And yes, he had talent, but he was always going to be a gamble because he was a project. So why are Liverpool about to spend the money on Wirtz? Well, simply it comes down to the fact that he's bloody unbelievable. All it takes is to watch 10 minutes of him to realise how special of a footballer he is. At 22 years old, Florian Wirtz is one of the best players in the world in his position, potentially the best player in his age range, and again, potentially the best player in the Bundesliga over the last 2 seasons. And all of that comes after a torn ACL. We all know ACL injuries can ruin a player's career, and especially young players. But in the 2 full seasons since he returned from injury, he was the biggest part of Bayer Leverkusen's historic double in the 2023-24 season, as he contributed to 22 goals and assists in 32 games in the league, 18 and 19 in all competitions. And he followed that up this season with 10 and 12 in the 31 league games and 6 goals in his first try in the Champions League. And stats back him up too. 93rd percentile for progressive passes, 96th percentile for successful take-ons, 93rd percentile for shot-creating actions, 91st percentile for assists, 96th percentile for expected assists, and 97th for goal-creating actions. And yes, I know that's a lot of percentiles. With Liverpool losing Trent Alexander-Arnold, they're very quietly staring down the barrel of having Mohamed Salah being the only reliable goal scorer and chance creator. And he will take a significant burden off Salah in the final third, as Cody Gakpo, Luis Diaz, and Dominic Szoboszlai all don't quite contribute enough in that regard. He might also just create more goals for Salah, which is a very, very scary prospect. So how does he fit? Well, this is probably the biggest debate in the Liverpool sphere right now. Where will Wirtz play? This is so interesting, and it makes Liverpool's summer in the transfer window even more exciting. Wirtz is so good he could realistically play anywhere across the front line, assuming Slot will line up with the 4-2-3-1 again next season. He may not, but for argument's sake, let's just assume he does. Wirtz could easily play the 10, left wing, right wing, and strikers, and almost false 9 if you really wanted him to. The least likely is obviously right wing, and when I say wing, if Wirtz was to play as the wider player, he wouldn't really be a winger. I just want to clear that up. He'd probably be a secondary 10 with width coming from the fullback. But Wirtz could very comfortably play on the right with Salah as a striker if that was a play this summer. I don't think it will though, and it would probably be quite a waste of his talents. So next, the 10, Currently, I think this is the position most people think Wirtz is coming into play, but I don't think he'll play there either. Dominic Szoboszlai currently holds that position, and as things stands with the lack of a physically dominant 6, Szoboszlai can't really be taken out the team. Yes, sure, he doesn't contribute as much as you would expect going forward, but let's be honest, he does more than make up for it in his work rate. Work rate that routinely bailed out Ryan Gravenberch and Trent last season, does the dirty work for Salah so Salah can do Salah things, and very importantly, he's the reason why Liverpool's pressing structure actually works. From my view, he can't come out of the midfield, let alone the team. Wirtz will work off the ball, but he isn't close to Szoboszlai in that regard. Next up is false 9. I think this position is potentially quite likely, and I think it would work almost similarly to the position I think he will end up playing. Essentially, like people such as Josh Williams have said, he wouldn't play as a striker or even a false 9. It'd probably be more as a secondary 10. If he was to play here, I think it would be Virgil van Dijk and Ibrahima Konate behind Alexis McAllister and Gravenberch, or maybe a new 6 as almost a box. Jeremy Frimpong and Milos Kerkers then would be quite high and wide, and Wirtz and Szoboszlai then narrow behind Salah and the potential new left winger. But my only concern here is that it would almost require Liverpool to find a left winger that's physically dominant and reliable goal scorer, and Diaz and Gakpo are neither of those things. And the other players that I think currently fit that bill are Rafael Leao and Rodrigo. Rodrigo may be less on the physical side, but both would be very, very expensive, probably have high wages too, and Leao would probably be way too expensive for the player that he currently is. Maybe Morgan Rogers could do it, but again, expensive and there's no guarantee of 15 plus goals in the league. The only other name could be Bradley Barcola, but although he may not have the size, he does have pace and potentially the goals. But again, that's a potentially difficult deal to do. Would he even want to leave PSG after they've just won the Champions League? I don't know. The double 10s was something Slot used a couple of times this season, and it works especially against Manchester City, so it is a real possibility. My concerns just come from the transfer market, so that's why I think Wirtz might come in as a left winger. This is almost an identical setup from the defence and midfield, but I think Kerkers and Frimpong could be pushed even higher, so Szoboszlai then probably drops just a little bit, Salah drops slightly too, and the striker would be more central. The other thing is that this position is similar to how he was used at Leverkusen and in the German national team, as he's used as kind of left of the 10s, and I think you'd get the same amount of freedom. If there was a young Sadio Mane on the market right now, then I'd probably be more inclined to say that Wirtz false 9 would be the play, but there really isn't at the minute. But on the other hand, when you look at the striker market, which I'm going to run through in a second, Liverpool might then feel that there isn't a striker that they want to get this season or who is attainable, so it might end up being Wirtz false 9, with Diaz as maybe the left winger. Who knows? And I agree with the people who say strikers aren't the be all and end all, but I just see more goals coming from strikers out there than I do from left wingers. I've run through some options before. Victor Osimhen, Victor Gyökeres, Julian Alvarez make the most sense to me, and even the idea of a John Duran loan stopgap / potential exploding is quite appealing. But again, like I said, Liverpool might not feel that Isak or Alvarez are attainable. They might not want Gyökeres, so they might not even dip into the striker market at all. It's quite an interesting time at Liverpool Football Club right now. And yes, Diaz and Gakpo contributed a lot this season, but a problem for Liverpool was also figuring out where goals were coming from if Salah was not on it, and for me they just aren't reliable enough. And as the club took the best possible step so far in the window by signing Florian Wirtz, the goal scorer next is really a must. But back to the point of the video, is Wirtz worth the money? Yes. If it's a success, he will replace Salah as the face of Liverpool for 160 million. And that's really not that bad if you look at some deals made by some clubs in London and Manchester. Sorry, I had to. Anyway, if you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. We really appreciate it. Let us know in the comments what you would like to see us do next. But for now, thank you for watching and goodbye.